Mile High Metal Hour, episode number 5. We are doing our whole episode about Blind Guardians, aka the Great Bards. We're going to talk about pretty much their whole discography and try and rank their albums, which is totally thankless and fruitless task, really. But first, I think, we were going to go over some of the new shit we've been jamming, just because there's been so much, so keep you up to speed on some of the stuff we've been jamming.
Yeah, it's been a while since we talked about it, so. Mostly I've just been listening to that new Tailcross. I don't know how to.
I've been going with Tal, so.
The Pillars of Fire, I think it's called. And that was my go-to for the past week until you gave me that Dizzo Nag Egg.
Zonga. Yeah, who knows how the hell to say it. I think it's like based on some Himalayan demon or some shit like that is where they got the name. I don't know.
How did you say it?
I just said Zonga, but I'm making that shit up. I just take the DZ. Z.
Yeah.
But
and also that Selbst, I don't know.
That was your find. That shit's fucking crazy good too.
Yeah, I think that's Chilean crazy black metal.
Right. 2 crazy black metals, by the way, for the first band. We didn't mention it. Kind of folky, orchestral, Cascadian sort of stuff. It's good.
Besides that, just random stuff. There's been a lot of new random stuff. I know that new Jute Guy is pretty good.
Yep. Out there.
Very.
We both did the new Winter Sun.
Oh yeah, I forgot the new Winter Sun came out. That's probably a whole show on its own right there, but.
Right. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, suffice to say, Winter Sun happened this week, and.
Right.
You like some more than I do, but.
Right. Well, I do like them a lot, but it has been funny watching the power metal forums just wet themselves all week.
Yeah.
Like they countdowns and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh really? I need to visit more power metal forums then.
Right. But what have I been getting up to? The Phosphorus early runner for album of the year for me.
Oh right, that came out too, yeah.
Yeah, I've been really digging that. Although Will Haven and Rosetta are both putting out records in September, so album of the year is likely to change. But so far, yeah, the Impossible Orbits by DePhosphorus, just crazy good grindcore.
Oh, and that new that Wolves in the Throne Room song. I forget the name now.
So good.
So fucking good. But the rest of that album is like that. That's another contender for, I'd say, best album of the year.
Right.
If it's as good. I have no reason to doubt that it won't be as good as that song. But who knows? They could throw in a curveball like their weird fucking ambient thing in there. And
right.
I don't think they do. I think they've been kind of vocal about their return to black metal. I think it's funny is they laughed and made one crappy album. And everyone's like, oh, they returned to black metal. I'm like, I don't even really count that as a departure. That was just like a sidestep or something.
Right.
This is like crappy. It's just
good. Then I think the only other really big one is the River Black for me. That's been kicking my ass. I really like that one. But
that's that other band.
Yeah,
we're another band.
It's 3/4 of the guys from Burnt by the Sun, and it sounds like Burnt by the Sun, so it's basically Burnt by the Sun. But I don't care what it's called. I'm just glad they're doing shit because it's fucking great.
Sweet.
Yep, little on the hardcore end, but fucking totally beat down. I love it.
I guess there was another new album, which is kind of a segue. Was the triple disc live Blind Guardian album?
Absolutely.
What sort of inspired this topic? Right. Not that we need to be inspired to talk about Blind Guardian, but they did have a new live album come out this week. They kind of reminded us how awesome Blind Guardian is.
Right. Was it Live Beyond the Spheres, I think it's called?
Yeah, I wrote it down. Live Beyond the Spheres, yeah.
Yeah, and also I think, like, I don't know, I just love the artwork on that. Like, it's It's like what Blind Guardian is in a nutshell, in one image.
So I think it was the first time I saw them 2 years ago. They said that they were recording for a live album. Apparently, none of the American shows made it out to this live
Yeah, I
album.
saw that.
All in Poland or something. I'm sure it's at some huge festival
Right.
up somewhere where like they're fully appreciated.
Right. I'm sure live.
Yeah.
I'm sure a live record sounds better with like 40,000 people screaming Blind Guardian rather than like 400 maybe.
Yeah, the 100 people showed up in Denver, right? Like, yeah, I've never heard. I don't really listen to live albums very much. I
Nope.
don't really care about them.
Nope.
Unless it's a band I really like, I'll listen to it probably once, which is probably what we'll end up with this because it's fucking 3 hours long. I don't have 3 hours to listen to one Blind Guardian album.
Right.
And if I wanted to skip around on the songs, I'll just put on the albums.
Right.
But it's pretty good for a live album, especially for Blind Guardian. It sounds impeccable, and all the band members sound good. And it's hard to really tell that there is an audience there, but
right.
in between songs you can hear them.
Right. Yeah, and I guess they had basically the pick of every show on their European tour. They spent the press junket was saying they spent just countless hours listening to each take and each track from every show and picking all the best ones. So.
I'm not sure where they end up with. If it's all over Europe or it's one or two countries. I know I heard him say, I think he said Warsaw or Poland in there or something.
Yeah, I think it was, I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 5 different actual locations, but yeah, fairly good stuff. They kind of hit most of their catalog. They don't do a lot of like the super early first 2 album stuff, but pretty much everything.
They kind of neglected
Twist the
Myth and Edge of Time.
Right.
So like the one song off each of them. So
right.
I think it was
Fly from Twist the Myth.
Fly from Twist the Myth, and then The Wheel or whatever from Edge, and I forget the last song from A Night in the Opera, which is like 14 minutes long.
Right.
Which I thought was the weird choice for that album, but whatever.
Yeah, I would automatically go to Battlefields or Soul Forged. It's probably, I don't know. Soul Forged, I think, is just my favorite on that record. But
yeah, or Jerusalem. but yeah, so it'd be like Blind Guardian. I mean, it's fucking cool. I'll probably listen to it maybe once more again sometime in the long distant future.
Right. I think if I actually bought the vinyl, I think I'd get drunk and probably throw it on every once in a while. But
see, that's why I didn't buy it, because I would never listen to it. And I would just play dust. And
yeah, I don't think I want it because I want to listen to it that much. It's just beautiful.
But the whole time I was listening to it, it just reminded me of seeing them last year and the year before. They came through America twice in 1 year, which was, I think, pretty fortunate for us.
Right. I only hit the second one because my life sucks. But
first year was cool. They were just doing a tour to promote the Beyond the Red Mirror. Right. And the Gravedigger was opening for them, which is a good band. Yeah. And it was awesome to see them. They had a good mix that night too. It was very similar to that live album of songs they played from each album. Seeing them on that tour that they had like 1 or 2 rotating songs, and it was just a crapshoot as to which they were going to play here. And now I forget what that was now. But the second time, the one that Steve went to as well, was Imaginations from the Other Side, where they were going to play Imaginations in its entirety, which is cool. And I'm not sure how they decided to pick that album.
I know.
How?
I nerded out and watched all these interviews, and they were talking about doing that album full. And Hansi was saying the main reason they did it is because it was such a long set. That's like one of the easiest albums to play. like physically, he's like, there's not a lot of vocal variation. I don't have to hit a lot of high notes. It's not super fast. It's not super technical. So that's why they did that one.
Oh, well.
Because they're old and it was simple.
I couldn't figure out why they picked that one because I don't. We were talking about this. I'm not sure what the
seminal Blind Guardian.
Blind Guardian album is. Like, if you had a choice, if you ask Blind Guardian fans, like, oh, what's the one album I should listen to? I'm not sure that everyone would get the same answer.
Right. Well, and they really did. I looked at a lot of those lists, and Twist and the Myth was generally toward the bottom, and Nightfall and Imaginations were generally toward the top. The rest of it was kind of all over the place.
Yeah, not that Imagination isn't good. I just of their best albums. I don't know why they. What the reason? Now I know, but like when I saw the tour, I'm like, yeah, that's fucking cool. I mean, they probably could have picked any album. I've been like, yeah, that's fucking cool.
Right. I don't know. Maybe it could have also been because it's conceptually linked to the new one and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't an anniversary or anything either. Not that I know of.
No.
You know, something into that, like the 20th anniversary of this album, so we'll play it. Or
oh, wait, I think it might have been though.
Oh, maybe that was it then. I don't know.
Wasn't because I know Nightfall is 98. I'm pretty sure Imaginations is 96. Pretty sure.
And you could be right. I don't know. Let me look it up.
Yeah, right.
So we have the internet for.
Right.
But regardless, it was fucking cool. They played that in its entirety and threw in a couple other songs for good measure.
It was 98, so no, 1 year off.
Oh, see, well.
So yeah. Oh no, wait, I looked up Nightfall.
95.
Oh, so pretty close.
Close. But I don't recall them promoting it as such. But I could be forgetting.
Right, and probably just, oh shit, we're doing 2 legs of North America. Let's not do the same thing twice.
Right. But they had Gravedigger with them again.
Right.
Who pretty much played the exact same set as the first time.
Of course.
Which is fine. They're like the perfect opening band, I think.
Right. They're not going to steal the show, but it's fun enough.
Yeah.
So. Well, shit, yeah. So live album's good.
So yeah, I got us thinking about Blind Guardian, and I was like, we should do an episode just nerding out about Blind Guardian, all the nerdy shit that they do.
Right.
And, so then I decided to listen to some of the older ones I'd listened to in a while, and then I was like, oh fuck it, I'll just listen to all of them in a row. Not that I haven't listened to Blind Guardian regularly for years and years.
Right.
But I haven't listened to some of them all the way through in a while.
Right.
Then we started ranking them, and then the whole episode just kind of fell into place. So.
Right. Yeah, fucking. We've been talking about doing something power metal related, and why not start at like the top of the power metal pyramid? I mean, there just doesn't get much better than them, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sidetrack too far away from Blind Guardian, but
right.
We can argue about where it started and who's the. I wouldn't say that Blind Guardian started power metal or anything, but I think that they're kind of the reigning champions of the genre.
Right.
Because they're still around and touring and consistent.
Yep. So, should we jump into the rankings then?
All right, let's do it.
All right. So we decided we were going to start. It's not really best to worst. It's just kind of our personal favorites and how much we listen to them. So it was like tough insofar as all of their stuff is good. So like, the whole middle of the list is really just like, oh, I can't really decide. So maybe I think I like this one a little more because I listen to it more or stuff like that. But I mean, their catalog is just immense and awesome start to finish.
Agreed.
So we're going to start with our personal favorites. We didn't tell each other, by the way, how we ranked these before we started this. So we can have just some discussion about that as well. But all right. So you want to start her off? What was your number one?
After, like I said, listening to all of them, pretty much I did it in all 2 days. I did first 5 or first 6 and then last 4 and that new live album in between. So I decided the one I enjoy the most, I guess, or the one I always go back to is The Night at the Opera. And I decided that because I think we talked about it briefly too, that they kind of have three different distinct sounds.
Right. The periods.
Periods. I think this was one where they solidified their. I think first of all, I think this is the one where they're at their most extravagant, I guess you could say.
Right. Well, it's
their most theatrical, which is appropriate, seeing as the title was called Night at the Opera.
Right, and I mean, Nightfall was always going to be hard to top because that record's immense. But Night at the Opera, I mean, I think, like you said, it's so complex, and it's also like their most produced record.
Yeah.
I mean, so many overdubs and so much going on in the background, and it's probably like the one you have to work for the most with them. You really have to pay attention to it.
And it's it's building off of Nightfall. I think Nightfall set up a lot of the stuff,
Right.
especially the more dramatic, story-driven kind of aspects to it. So to me, it's kind of like Nightfall pushed to 11 without those cheesy introductions to each song.
Right.
But yeah, that's my favorite one. I think they're the most ridiculous. Let's see what I wrote down about this. Oh, and it also had that we mentioned that song. The last song on that album is "And Then There Was Silence."
Yep.
Probably their longest song, and the most excessive song.
Right. Right.
There's all of them start out. All the songs in there are fucking awesome. They all kind of build on top of each other, and they all just get
right.
Like they're not very riff, chorus verse chorus. They're just all over the place. It's just like each song is like a movement on this one.
Right.
And very movements within each song too. So.
Right. It's very composed and very methodical.
Very composed, which again probably plays up in the whole theme of the Night at the Opera. I also think it's a lot of Queen worship going on there.
Yep. Hell yeah.
I think is very prevalent in their later years.
Right.
And even sometimes in the beginning, you can kind of see it peeking out on Somewhere Far Beyond, but
right. Yeah, it's fucking fantastic. So that one ranks. I've got Night at the Opera number 4 on my list.
Oh wow! I can guess which one yours is number 1. So
yeah, well, we were just talking about it as the build into Night at the Opera. So Nightfall is my number 1, and I think it has a lot to do with a couple things. I mean, those are the songs that get stuck in my head the most and stick with me the most. Curse of Feanor, Nightfall itself, Into the Storm, all those tracks. Just every time I listen to them, they stick with me for forever.
See, this was one of the hairs I was splitting here because I think Nightfall has their best song, a couple of their all-time best songs ever.
Right.
Which would be Nightfall, the song itself, Nightfall.
Right.
And Mirror, Mirror. And Curse of Fenrir, or however you say it, you would know. But
yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the other part of it, the all out finally, like, a whole album just dedicated to doing Tolkien and nerding out.
Which is not so much obscure, but a tough thing to make into any kind of sensible story.
Right. It'd be like doing the Bible in 10 songs.
Yeah, right.
It's dense and there's a million names and the narrative jumps around. It doesn't, it's tough. And to break it down to its most bare form, but still make great music out of it. Fucking awesome.
And it's and the thing about that, which is easy to say nowadays when the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit are so much a part of our, I don't know, pop culture.
Yeah.
In 1998, I don't think it was so much so when they were singing these songs originally. I mean, those movies weren't even out or in production, maybe. But there wasn't that hype around them. People weren't as excited about Lord of the Rings as they are nowadays.
Right. Well, when they were writing that record, I mean, it was still very much the domain of the nerd and fucking like not mainstream yet.
No, yeah, totally.
But yeah, I mean it's fucking great cover art on that one. The sound and the visuals line up perfectly for me. I know the cheesy talking tracks, the narrative tracks. I don't know. It's just a complete
can't have without cheese, but
right.
I mean, I like it too, but I know then they put out that box set a couple years ago. There was a version of it without the spoken parts.
Gotcha.
Which I was like, I listened to once. I'm like, hey, it's not the same.
Yeah, I agree. Where'd that end up on your list then?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Nice. Sweet.
So,
I guess the next one.
So number 2 for me would have been Tales from the Twilight World.
Hey, me too.
Wow, you're nice on that one.
Yeah, I think most listened to.
Yeah, that's easily the one I listen to the most, I think, because it's got all the. I think that's when they're starting to when they're starting to move from the speed metal into more power metal, or at least more orchestration. I don't know what you say, composure.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely like the first major shift away from the speed metal toward the power metal. I think Somewhere Far Beyond is like the first like firmly in the world of power metal. I mean, Twilight still has a lot of that like speed metal backbone, especially in the drums. It keeps like a real solid beat a lot of the time and just plows straight through. So it's still dragging its feet in their speed metal sound, but it's definitely on the trajectory toward the power metal for sure.
It was also one of the few first power metal albums I'd ever heard. So that was, a blast to hear that for the first time.
Right.
We introduced power metal by Blind Guardian in that album in particular. I don't know why I went on that one, probably some list or something. But I remember thinking like, wow, these guys are singing about hobbits and or dwarves and stuff, and I was like, it was fucking rad. But yeah, it's got all of that. I think that one's pretty solid song wise all the way through.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs, the Lost in the Twilight Hall.
Yep.
That killer guest spot from Kai Hansen from Halloween.
Right.
Who was on a couple of their earlier albums.
Yeah, it's that song's great. Really kind of like the marchy, thumpy sort of chorus going on in that one.
Totally, yeah. And totally riff city, just crazy melodic power metal riffing that they're known for.
Right. And it's Welcome to Dying too.
Yeah, Welcome to Dying.
That was one I was glad they did live. It's a fun song.
Traveler in Time
and every song on there.
Yeah, that's a good one. So like I said, yeah, for me it was because it's starting into the power metal, but it's at the perfect balance of the speed and the power metal aspect of that band.
Right. Yeah, totally agreed.
I think I wrote something else down about that one.
But yeah, again, for me, it was just when I get the Blind Guardian itch, I think that's almost always the first one I go to, like just Twilight.
Yeah, like if I put it on a car, someone's usually that album.
Right.
And it's got that super nerdy Lord of the Rings song that pretty much describes the entire story in like 4 minutes. Which they played live, which was awesome.
Yep.
All right, so where was we? So that was my number 2, and your number 2.
Yep.
My number 3 was Nightfall. So what was your number 3?
My number 3 was Beyond the Red Mirror.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I put that above Night at the Opera and all that because I think for me, just how good that record is for any band, like near 30 years into their recording career, like to sound fresh and relevant. Just like that blows me away in and of itself. Like it's crazy. It's crazy that they've done that much and are still like because there's been moments of Guardian fatigue for some,
Right.
you know, it was that lineup of critical praise and good press after kind of a drought, and like
Right.
just to see him popping up all over the place again, like all right, fucking sweet.
I mean, we can talk about it more when we get to at the
Right.
But I think this one, yeah, like you said, it was more energetic. There's back to they're getting a little speedier again and bringing back some more of that riffing as opposed to the movements of songs.
Right.
But keeping that element too.
Right.
They're getting a little experimental with some of his vocal patterns. He was getting a little, I don't know, screamy on some songs there, which was kind of weird. But
right. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think his range is quite what it used to be.
no,
You know, they just adjust in different ways, but
right,
they yeah, I think like you said, it still has those movements, but the movements themselves are more riff oriented, I think.
right,
Like even when they do, I mean, the record's bookended by the two long tracks, Ninth Wave and Grand Parade.
right,
Those ones are, like we said about Night at the Opera, very compositionally minded. Like,
right.
but between those two, you know, that's 20 minutes of a record right there by itself. And
Yeah.
then, but the rest of it moves along in a fairly good clip. And I mean, what the lead single was Twilight of the Gods. I mean, that's 4 minutes, and that's a pounder. Like,
Yeah, the Twilight of Gods reminded me of Tales from the Twilight World kind of era.
right,
A little more of the bombastic nature that they've had on the past couple albums.
right, bombastic, and like you said, more riff chorus or verse chorus, very much like a song that they wrote to be on the radio, but kick ass
Right.
on them.
As if there's radio stations that play German power
Right.
metal. Maybe in Germany. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not American.
Nope.
So I have that at number 4.
Well, there you go. So that was your number 4. So then what's your number 5?
Somewhere Far Beyond,
Nice.
which, as we discussed, I think is the first of their power metal, firmly power metal album. Even though this one it's pretty theatrical, which is weird because then they kind of take a step back, I think, for imaginations.
Agreed.
Like they start to get these weird orchestra kind of songs, like the what's that song called? Theater of Pain.
Right.
And the last song on there, that I think it's just Somewhere Far Beyond. But yeah, like Time What Is Time is like still kind of speedy still, but it's definitely power metal song.
Right.
And also about Blade Runner, which is fucking awesome. So
Right. I wonder if they're going to do a song for the awesome new Blade Runner movie coming out.
they've already done it, and it's way better.
So yeah, that Somewhere Far Beyond. Also, I mean, Bard's song. That's kind of the centerpiece of everything for them. That's
got the two Bard songs. The I forget what the subtitles are. But
The Hobbit and then In the Forest.
Right. So the Hobbit, which is more like the sing along acoustic song, which they play live too.
Right.
And then there's the second one, which is so fucking epic about the Misty Mountain and fucking Gollum and all that shit. But they never play the second. I would kill for them to play both of them back to back.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked. People would totally go for that. They really should. But yeah, I mean that it ties into their whole like identity as a band. Everyone's like, the Bards. Yeah, that's like their whole shtick. So kind of a big one in not just their power metal sound, but like in their identity, like as a whole, like what they're about.
And what's the other one? Oh, Black Chamber. Yeah, the other one I thought was very theatrical on there.
Yeah.
That one, I'm not sure if the original release had or not, but I've got the special editions, or one of the special editions. I don't know. It had has that Queen cover on there,
Oh yeah, spread your wings and fly.
"Spread Your Wings," which is like the sappiest, cheesiest song ever.
Right.
But like Blind Guardian just fucking like embraced that whole thing of it, and they fucking pulled off. And it's really hard, I think,
Right.
to do a Queen cover unless like you just totally own it and don't give a fuck.
Right. Well, and that's just it though. Like, it's not that they don't give a fuck. I mean, like Hansi's vocals are right on. He can hit, he can hit all that stuff, and it's fucking great. And they're it's not just a cover. Like they're just kind of like almost showing off. Like, look, we can do Queen just like Queen does Queen. Fucking
Right. It's almost like effortless, like,
right.
which is weird because like I think there's a lot of Queen's drama in Blind Guardian, whether they want to admit it or not.
Right.
And I think it comes out in like Night the Opera, Twist and the Myth, and some of those songs in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially like Fly, which is like about Peter Pan, right? Come on.
Right.
But yeah, then they juxtapose that with their other cover song in there, which is a Satan cover,
Right.
Trial by Fire, which is, if you know Satan, there's the new wave of British heavy metal band, which is borderline thrash at the time.
Right. And it's fucking great.
It was a great band, and they do a good cover of it, but it's just weird.
Right. Right. As given some of their other covers, that one's like kind of sticks out because they don't do a lot of metal covers.
Right? Yeah, it's usually like Barbara Ann or
Right.
Mr. Sandman or something. Like,
Right. And on the Fly single, they did Inagata Davida,
oh, weird.
like, which is awesome, super rad, perfect riff for them to play with. But yeah, so that one, Somewhere Far Beyond, was number 7 for me actually.
So what do you have at number 5?
At number 5 is Imaginations.
Ah, see, okay. This is where it's having discrepancies about where to put these.
Right, me too. The middle section was really difficult.
Yeah, like I could easily swap Imagination, and I have it at number 6, so I could have easily swapped it with Somewhere Far Beyond. Just now we're
right.
But
that one, Imaginations, I think is interesting because so far, so much of their lyrical content had been them taking stuff from literature and mythology, Tolkien and whatever else. But Imaginations is like still it is a concept record, but it's like his concept now. Like Hansi wrote the story for it. And, character is what Bright Eyes, I think, is the character's name. Yeah, the song Bright Eyes. But
I think that one is probably one of their more aggressive albums.
Yeah.
Overall, it's not as speedy as Tales, but it's kind of unrelenting though. Like they don't really break much until like Bright Eyes.
Right. Well, and there's way more dark moments on that record than most of their stuff. I mean, they always have kind of darker moments or melancholy moments. That one's a little, got a lot of mood. I mean, the opening riff to the title track, first track. I mean, it's very ominous and kind of spooky, but still adventurous. Like you still know it's gonna be fucking power metal through and through.
Yeah, it's probably. Yeah, you're right. Probably the darkest album, as if
right
that dark, but
yeah.
It's probably like they move and there's most movements to the band, and I think this one was kind of they kind of got the power metal thing down with Tales, and Somewhere Far Beyond. This one was they were starting to expand their storytelling stuff.
Right.
The idea of telling a story through an entire album, which obviously they took to the full extent with the follow-up, which was Nightfall.
Right.
But you can kind of hear some of Nightfall in this one, and then like you can hear Nightfall and opera.
Right. Yeah, and another reason for it, I think part of the reason I placed it where I did is what you call it, My Own Requiem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be on my short list. Like, if I had to hear Blind Guardian play like a 5-song set, I think that would be on there.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
So that's I think that track alone is why I put it above Somewhere Far Beyond. But
yeah, those two are it's a pretty good tie for me. But I do love that Time What a Time song. So
yeah, they're which did they play Time What Is Time?
they did, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They totally did. So yeah, so you were
I had that at 6. So
yeah, and my 6 is Twist in the Myth.
okay, that's yeah, that's probably one of my more neglected Power or Blind Guardian albums. Which after listening to it again the other day, I don't know why, because it's pretty fucking good.
Right.
It's better than I remember it being. I remember that, and At the Edge of Time I always thought were kind of like the duds.
Right.
Their catalog, but Twist and Myth is far better than that.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking that apparently the European fan base like fucking hates that record. And I mean, it is a little more on like the hard rock side of the spectrum, but I think it makes perfect sense after Night at the Opera, because Night at the Opera is so dense and there's so much going on. Like, it's an exhausting record. So
I mean, like, I don't know how they could have topped Night at the Opera, so they probably just reasonably thought, I mean, just bring it back in.
Right. Well, I mean, it's way more airy and light of a record, and it's not super intense or anything, but
I think the difference is instead of being like an orchestra, it's more symphonic now. It's more, yeah, like you said, there's more room for the symphonic aspects as opposed to the full
right
bombast of all that kind of.
Right. Yeah, especially like the chorus, the chorus on Carry the Blessed Home. I mean, that's just that chorus. There's so much going on in that chorus, and the song feels like it's mostly just a chorus, but it is super symphonic. Million voices all at once, and
right. Which is, I think, kind of where they've been sound-wise since in that area, more or less.
In the third era, the third age.
Yeah. I have that at number 8. So.
Nice. Yeah. So Fly, like you said, Fly is a great one. Another Stranger Me is a very strange song, but I still like it.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird song. Fly is probably the highlight for me on that album, I think. And they played it live the first time I saw them, which was cool. But yeah, it's another one of those like subtly super awesome kind of power metal ballad, not really ballady, but sing along kind of song.
Right.
But it's like in true Blind Guardian fashion, it's about Peter Pan. So
right.
at least in their own weird way that they reference it with the second star in the right or whatever. I forget how it goes.
Right. And then the first track, This Will Never End, another highlight for me. That might also be on that short list for me. I love the riff on the verse of that is super maideny and chuggy and gallopy, but
yeah, you're right. It is kind of maideny. Yeah.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
So that was me at 6, and 7 was Somewhere Far Beyond for me. So, and you just said 8 was Imaginations. So
my 8 was a Twist in the Myth.
Twist in the Myth, sorry. So
my 7 was Follow the Blind.
Nice, which is 8 for me.
So it's pretty much because of like 2 songs, which is Valhalla and Vanish from Sanctuary. Which is what put it above the rest of the last couple. But I think the first 2, Battalions of Fear and Follow the Blind, are pretty much the same album.
Yeah.
I don't think they expand too much sound-wise. I don't think they get too different.
No, the one thing, and this is why I put this one above Battalions of Fear, is the production is slightly better.
Yeah, that's true too.
So,
but Yeah, Valhalla is probably like I mean they always play it live. It's probably like their go-to song, I think,
Right.
but for good reason, and it's fucking awesome. I'd like to see a live version. I don't know what fantasy world I think this would happen, where they had Hanzai and Kai singing together.
Right.
But I mean, he does it fine. He does Kai's parts just fine. So
Right. Yeah. And then did you listen to that cover I posted, "The Heaven Shall Burn" doing Valhalla?
no, I didn't. Shit.
Yeah. Hansi's actually like he's on the chorus of that, but
Oh, really?
it's really cool. Like they're just an okay kind of band, but it's
Right.
cool hearing it's a super aggressive cover of that. It's like dark and banging. So that it's cool to see. And they're German, so of course.
Right. You don't hear a lot of Blind Guardian covers.
Right. I don't know if that was the only one that popped up on my YouTube searches, but I'm sure there's others.
Yeah, I wonder if that's because of the musicality behind it, or just like why? Like we talked about Queen, like why bother? Like you can't do it any better.
Right. And it also has to do with Americans don't like fucking power metal. They suck.
Yeah, that too. So yeah, Fall Blind's good. Of the first two, that's the one I prefer to listen to.
Yep.
But
Agreed. Totally agreed. And then so yeah, that 8 was Fall of the Blind for me, so my 9 is Italians of Fear.
mine too.
Yeah. So, and that again, we're at the bottom of this list, and it's not really a knock on any of these records, but it's they're very much a band in their infancy. Like,
Yeah, they were kind of goofier then, I think.
I agree.
It starts with that weird ass carnival music, which is like the only time they've ever done anything like that. Like,
Right.
it's got the weird kind of silly songs on that one. The Gandalf's Rebirth and I mean, Majesty's probably like the better song of all of them.
Yeah. Run for the Night I like a lot too.
Yeah,
But
even the cover art for it is fucking kind of ridiculous. Those like I don't know, like those wrestlers playing chess. I don't know what's going on there.
right. It's like super 80s cover of a D&D book
Yeah, totally what it is.
kind of album art. Like, it's cheese as shit. But it's impressive when you listen to it, because if you didn't know any better, you'd never be like, oh, someday this band is going to be playing shit like, they play on Night at the Opera or
Right. No, it's firmly a speed metal album. Very clearly influenced by Halloween and Kai Hansen. I think it's probably a little rougher around the edges than Halloween was.
right.
At least that point occurred in '88, I think I came out, 87, 88.
Yeah.
So the Jericho albums had already come out, or the Keeper of Seven Keys albums have already come out. But
Right. Yep. Kraut as fuck.
yeah, totally. Yeah, that's to say, it's that those speed metal albums, they're fun. I mean, this one's like barely 40 minutes, and then later on they get into the hour plus mark. But
Right.
so that leaves everyone. I mean, at the end, number 10 is at the end of time for both of us, I'm sure. So
Yeah, and I don't think I really realized the feelings I have for that record until we did this little project. Like, 'cause I'll throw Blind Guardian on playlists and stuff, and I think when I hear any of those songs by themselves,
mhm,
I like them a lot better than hearing them in the context of the whole record.
that's probably true.
Like, it doesn't, especially for a band like Blind Guardian, who's so conceptually focused and so good at making an album like a whole experience from start to finish. This is the one that just feels like a collection of Blind Guardian songs.
Yeah, we were talking about that progression from album to album.
Right.
I don't feel like at the edge of time. Excuse me, at the edge of time, did anything different than what they were doing on Twist, and there wasn't any kind of overlaying concept or theme really. It was just kind of like it was Blind Guardian doing, like you said, 10, 12 songs in that symphonic kind of
Right.
tops kind of sound they were doing.
Right. And like I don't like any individual songs.
Right.
They're all fine. There's even a couple good ones. Hold on. I mean, great ones, I guess. Where'd you go? Um, the Wheel of Time song itself is good. Here you are, At the Edge of Time. Sorry. Yeah, which is confusing because Red Mirror has a track, At the Edge of Time.
Right.
Wait, what? Oh, Ride into Obsession. That one's a banger. It's probably the heaviest song on that record. But really fast riffing.
It's not critical of it. It's not a bad album. It's just not as, I don't know. It's just not as Blind Guardian as the rest of them.
Right. I think we just said least memorable.
Yeah, before we started this, I couldn't have told you a song off of there top of my head. I might have blamed it on the Wheel Time, but only because that's like a live staple.
Right.
But the rest of them, like, oh shit, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's if you have to pick a weak Blind Guardian, that's obviously the one. Which again is I think part of why I ranked Red Mirror so high, because it's like it just crushes that one into the dust.
Yeah, totally. It totally does.
Fuck yes, they're back.
Yeah. It also has the weakest cover art. We discussed this, yeah.
Oh yeah, lame and boring. I don't even know what the hell's going on it.
I think it's the dragons again, but
yeah, in front of some pyramid-ish like thing.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but that's the other thing. The art on Twist and the Myth and Red Mirror are both decent, but man, I miss their old dude. What is that guy's name?
Oh shit, I should have looked it up before this. I don't know.
He's done like the last couple obituary covers. I mean, he's done fucking everything. But it was all him through like you said, all of the second era and into Night of the Opera. He did all those covers.
Yeah, and then the Night of the Opera cover is outrageous. But
yeah,
so much going on there in the Nightfall one too.
Right.
But yeah. At the Edge of Time.
Yeah. Weakest music, weakest cover, weakest Blind Guardian album.
Yeah, probably.
But
I wonder if there's like any dissent out there. If people are like, that one's like the best. I couldn't find any argument for it. I mean, if you look at Metal Archives, if you base if you use a rating system for any kind of basing what people like, none of their albums drop out of like high 80% of approval of ratings.
Right.
Except for that one. That one goes, and then even then it's like 75% with the cumulative ratings.
Right.
Well, I think better than most bands get, so.
Right. Well, I think for a lot of the fan base during my research, like Twist and the Myth is more like reviled, like, oh god, Twist and the Myth. But like at the end of time, it's just like it's so just like meh.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just whatever. Could have been worse, I suppose.
For like a band to have 10 albums, only have one like meh album.
Right.
Like we were talking about Gravedigger opening for them. Like Gravedigger's got a whole slew of albums, and like
3 or
4 that are like really worth listening to.
Right. Absolutely. But what else was I gonna? Oh, in watching these interviews, they keep bringing up this fucking orchestra project they've been talking about doing forever.
Oh yeah, it's briefly.
We're talking about the future of them. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, Blind Guardian doesn't. They don't really stray far from kind of themselves, and they don't really do those weird kind of things like that. But I think if one band is, suited for a full orchestra kind of thing,
right?
It's Blind Guardian. I mean, fucking Rhapsody of Fire has been doing it forever. I mean, they're just, they just have to embrace it. I bet if it was like something for like a video game they were all into, they would totally do it.
Right. Well, like they did the Dwarves game. They did that one track with the full orchestra.
Right.
And I mean, fuck, a whole album of that would be great.
Yeah, totally would.
But I guess we won't know for years. I think it's been like every 4 years for the last couple records to wait around for records. But
yeah, I mean, I guess I have more faith that there'll be another Demons and Wizards before there's a orchestra album from them.
Right. Yeah, probably. Which is fine too.
Yeah, but they have to make it. That's the thing.
Right. Well, shit. Are you? Oh, it's 7:57. We're about there.
So yeah, that's fucking the Blind Guardian.
Yeah, I'm sure they will come up over and over and over again going forward too. So
Yeah, I mean, I know we're all tough and cult here on the internet, but fucking Blind Guardian rules everything. So
right, yeah, there are men, there are gods, and there are blind guardian. So
yeah, pretty much.
all right, well, I guess we will see you all next time.